Hello everyone, it's Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Thank you for joining me in my little corner of the internet where today we're going to talk all things Valentine inks. And I don't normally do this, but I always think it's fun to go through my inks, especially this year when I'm really trying to make the most of what I have and go through, I guess, seasonal inks that would be great to use for Valentine's Day. And I found 10 inks in my collection that aren't just your, regular pink and red. Yeah, I have a few of these. Let's get started. So I'm going to be swatching in my Hobonichi A5 notebook with 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. I'm also going to be swatching with my Browse ornament nib here. Yes, you can see it is a little rusted. And this is in the 3mm, and then I'm putting it in my nib holder, and I'm just putting it in like that. I'm not putting it all the way in. And then I will also be writing with my Kakimori stainless steel nib, which is, gosh, I'm not even ready. Look at that. I'm not even. Why is no one ready? So here we go. My Kakimori stainless steel nib here. All right, the first ink I'll be swatching is Anderillium Pompadour Cotinga Burgundy. And I really like this color. It looks like it's supposed to be a really dark burgundy, but it's a beautiful lighter burgundy, if I can call it that. I purchased this from, was it the Chicago Pen Show? Oh, I already got some on there. Actually can't remember which pen show that I got this from. Possibly Chicago. It's like this is the worst time to ask me to remember things like that. But look at this. This reminds me, and I'll be swatching it later, spoiler alert, reminds me of Tasha Ume Murasaki, but like a lighter, more burgundy version of that ink. So here we have Anderillium Pompadour, what was it? Cotinga Burgundy. Beautiful. I really love the way that that shades there. And even when writing with it, you can see the difference in the shading, even with a fine or an extra fine nib. Look at that. Really pretty. And then even in these lighter areas, look at how pink it looks. I love that. Anderillium Pompadour Cotinga Burgundy. The next in the inks is not actually an ink that I have in a bottle. It's a sample that I just got recently. It is Diamine Nostalgia. And this one is really pretty. Let's take a look here. Now, it wouldn't be your typical ink for Valentine's Day, but I love the shimmer in it. It's a little bit more of a, say, subdued. Kind of imagine like the champagne that you're getting with some pinky red shimmers. Like, isn't that so pretty? To me, like, yes, it looks really brown, like the base is very brown right now, but the shimmers in there are just stunning. So it is Diamine Nostalgia, and this is from the 2025. Oh gosh, Nostalgia. Spell that correctly, Karina. Nostalgia. The 2025 Diamine Ink Vent Calendar. And I'm grateful for the pen friend who sent this along with the ink bottle that I purchased. Look at that. I love a brown with a good pink shimmer. It just feels very festive for Valentine's Day. And I'm not the type of person who normally celebrates Valentine's Day. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But I love the pink shimmers in this. Just so pretty. So Diamine Nostalgia. Next I have Diamine Red Dragon. And this is an ink that I've had in my collection for a long time. But it's not one that I use very often because I don't know. I'm just unfortunately not really drawn to using red inks in my day-to-day rotation. I think red ink really reminds me of school and mistakes on an essay or a test of some sort. But this is a really lovely red if that's what you're looking for, and Diamine inks are some of the best out there for the price. So this is Diamine Red Dragon. And really, red is the one that I probably have the least number of in my fountain pen ink collection. And like I said, it's not an ink that I normally reach for. But it's one that I don't think I'll ever get rid of because it's one that I'll occasionally use for painting, but it's nice to have every now and again. So, Diamine Red Dragon. The next ink I have is Kobe Strawberry Chocolate, and I think this one is perfect for Valentine's Day because how many people are having chocolate on Valentine's Day, regardless of whether or not you have a partner that you're celebrating with. Even for Galentine's, you're having chocolate and strawberries covered in chocolate, of course. But also this ink is such a lovely soft pink. I love this. I purchased this at the San Francisco Pen Show last summer, 2025. And I was very grateful that I was able to purchase it because the Nagasawa table was just full of people. And by, I think, Friday afternoon, they were completely sold out of this as well as milk chocolate. So Kobe Strawberry Chocolate. They have a whole series of milk chocolate, strawberry chocolate, and bitter chocolate. So brown and brown pink and a dark brown. Oh, just look at that. They also, or this ink is also sold at Van Ness, and you can use my code Karina10 to be able to purchase this ink. Isn't that such a beautiful pink? I love that. Gorgeous. And I love the way it shades as well. And it's legible. What more could you ask for? So that is Kobe Strawberry Chocolate. The next ink is actually a newer ink to me. It is Pilot Iroshizuku Yama Budo, and this was sent to me by Nancy. Thank you so much, Nancy, because when I did my Pilot collection video, so many people were like, why don't you have Yamabudo? Have you tried Yamabudo? And then Nancy reached out and sent me this bottle. So I'm getting some on my Browse ornament nib, and if you're not sure of this, I did leave a link to this in the description below. They're currently on special order from PenChalet, and I haven't really been able to find them anywhere else. But this is like a beautiful bright magenta pink, and this also has quite a bit of sheen. And I'm not normally a sheen and regularly I'm not a sheen person, but this ink is just, oh, I forgot to put my pencil board on here. So we have Pilot Iroshizuku Yamabudo. And I do love Pilot inks. They're so well behaved, lovely and wet. And if you're ever having an issue with your pen, try it with a Pilot ink, because it may not be your pen, it may be the ink, and trying out a pen with a Pilot ink can help troubleshoot whether or not it's the pen or the ink. But look at just how beautiful that is, the shading that's happening there. And with a fine or an extra fine nib, it definitely looks a lot more saturated, but look at the beautiful pink that's happening here. I love that. Pilot Iroshizuku Yamabudo. The next ink is another ink that's very new to me. It is Robert Oster Copper. I got this from some local pen friends at my most recent fountain pen meetup here in my city. And I loved the color of this. Now, I have never inked this, but I thought it's such a lovely, it goes down kind of a dusty coral pink, but the way that it dries is a really, really lovely color. And I'll show you all of these swatches once they've had a chance to dry so you can really see the full effect of them. Beautiful. I love it when I just love it even when it goes down. I apologize for all the reflection. So we have Robert Oster Copper. Lovely. I really love how that's drying down. Oh, my figure eights first, and then my line widths. I love doing the line widths with this stainless steel nib. I feel like they're a lot more precise than I could ever get with my brass. And I feel like I can get finer lines as well when I'm writing. But look at the way that that's drying. It's like it's more saturated, and I can't wait to show you that once it's dried. So that's Robert Oster Copper. Next is another sample, so not a bottled ink, but I loved this one when I purchased it from PenChalet, and I've loved using it. It is Sailor Manyo Azuki, and I'm tempted to get a bottle, but I know I don't need one. I don't need another pink in my collection, no matter how beautiful it is, so I'm just going to be satisfied with using this sample. But it's so pretty. You know me and my dusty pinks. This is very much a Carina ink, which to me is crazy because, I mean, I was never really a pink. Well, no, that's a lie. When I was a kid, I loved pink because I thought all girls had to like pink. And then I went through my loving the color blue stage, and then I love the color green on a day-to-day basis, but now I'm really loving, because of the inks, pinks and purples. Crazy how that happens. But this one writes beautifully. Oh, let's make sure I have enough on here. And the shading that you see, even when you're writing with a fine or an extra fine, is beautiful. What is happening? There we go. Look at that. So that is Sailor Manyo Azuki. Next we have one that I wasn't expecting to put on this list. It's Sailor Ink Studio 273. And from the color on the bottle, you wouldn't expect this to be a Valentine's ink. Ooh, come on, open. Open, there we go. And even when you're looking at the color in there, you don't think it is, but once that swatch dries, it is a lovely, lovely color. This is the thing I like about Sailor inks, is that never judge the ink by the color on the bottle or on the label, because you can see the pink that's coming through there. So pretty. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to show you that once it's dried. So this is Sailor Ink Studio 273. And yeah, it's that dusty pink that I love, that is beautiful. Look at that. Yes, it goes down a little bit brown, and there's like hints of yellow in there, but that's what makes it so interesting. And then that pink, gorgeous. Sailor Ink Studio 273. You should try it. The next ink is Tacha Ume Murasaki, and I can't remember where I purchased this from, but I think this is also available, I think, in places like PenChalet or Van Ness, and I have codes to both of those shops down in the description below. But I love the deep color of this and the way that it dries. Okay, it looks like it's brown right now, but when it dries, it shows off this kind of pinky brown purple. It's so hard to explain until you see a swatch of it. Is that a perfect circle? This ink is also a very wet ink, as you can see, and if you've got like an extra fine nib, I really should put this in one of my extra fines, or even like a platinum fine or a sailor fine, and I'm sure that it'll just work beautifully in that pen. And this, when I first swatched Andoryllium Cotinga Burgundy, it reminded me of this, but I realized this definitely has more brown in it than the Pompadour Cotinga Burgundy. But wait for that to dry. Why did I choose this as a Valentine's ink? Because of that base color. Look at that, it's stunning. So that's Tacha Ume Murasaki. And last but not least, I have Teranishi Opera Rose. And this was an ink that I purchased a couple years ago, completely influenced by Leanne Likes, and I liked it because, yes, it's that dusty pink, but a lot of people, once they've tried this, said that it's a lot more coral than pink. And I do like it for that. I like that it looks slightly different than your dusty pink. And one of the reasons that I chose this was because of the name, like Opera Rose. And roses are, you know, quite the Valentine's Day flower. So this is Taranishi, oops, Opera Rose. And when I look at my choices for Valentine's inks, these aren't your typical, you know, just the pinks. I could have chosen all of my pinks, and I have a lot of pink inks, but I wanted to really look at what I have in my collection and kind of think out of the box on this one. And I think I did with my choices. This does look like a rose that's wilting, and it could still be like a really beautiful romantic color. And I think that's why I chose this, because it's a lovely romantic color. So that is Taranishi Opera Rose. So here's a bit of the close-up once the inks are dried. So you have Andorralium Pompadour Cotinga Burgundy. Look at how lovely and pink that is. It's such a stunning color and works really well in a pen. There's a little bit of sheening happening here, but it doesn't actually happen too much. Diamond Nostalgia, that shimmer kind of just takes over that brown, so it really does feel more, well, let's say Valentine's-y, but if you look at it in like different angles, look at that shimmer. That's stunning. I love that. And then we have Diamine Red Dragon, a really good, safe red. I can't say anything more about that. It doesn't really have, you know, shading or shimmer or anything, but if you want a good red, Diamine Red Dragon. Absolutely. And then Kobe Strawberry Chocolate. It is just the most beautiful pink ink. And for Valentine's Day, chocolate, strawberries, yes, absolutely. And just look at the way that it shades. It's also a very, very well-behaved ink. I really like it. And now we have Pilot Iroshizuku Yamabudo. That took a while to dry, but you can see the sheen that's happening in that ink here. But look at the lovely, beautiful magenta pink. I think for me, if it didn't have as much sheen, I would probably like it a lot more. But because of the sheen, it's probably an ink that I may not keep in my collection. We'll see. We'll see. Robert Oster Copper. When I first swatched this, it definitely looked more saturated, but I really like this shade of pinky red. Really, really beautiful. Sailor Manyo Azuki, a really great, another great pink. A little bit more purple than you've got with Strawberry Chocolate. So this is definitely leaning a little bit more purple, but it's still absolutely stunning. And then one of my different ones here, Sailor Ink Studio 273. You can see how there's a lot more coral like in the undertone, and then you've got pink here, which is not what you expect when you see the bottle. The bottle looks very, what is the color? I just had it, but the bottle itself looks very, yeah, it's like yellow brown, which doesn't really match. I really love Sailor Ink Studio 273. And then the ones that are still taking its time to dry are Tasha Ume Murasaki. Look at this beautiful deep burgundy purple, definitely leaning more towards the warmer tone. Is it warmer? Well, definitely darker than Andorralium Pompadour Cotinga Burgundy. I really like this, and the base color as well is just stunning. And then lastly, Taranishi Opera Rose. Now I apologize that this hasn't dried yet, but you can see the pink and the coral, but then just the shading in this ink is beautiful. So those are some Valentine's inks that you can use, and these are the ones that I chose from my collection. Now, yes, I probably have way more pinks than I have listed here, and there's probably so many more that could have fit into this category, but I just wanted to choose 10 today that could be featured for Valentine's Day. What are some inks that you would add to the Valentine inks collection, or what are some inks that you're using this month, maybe for the month of February? Let me know down below. All right, thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to hit that like button and to subscribe. Thanks again, and have yourselves a great day.